So we were looking forward to it all summer after she won the Wonder again, the off the turf Wonder again by 17 lengths. The possibility of nitrogen running on dirt in the Grade 1 Alabama, and she did it on Saturday, and she got the job done. She looked, I thought, like a winner the whole way. Every step of the way, she was traveling so well. Jose had a handful of horse, Jose Ortiz, a handful of horse the whole time. Really looked like she had Lacara anytime she wanted, and then there was just a matter of holding off good cheer. I thought she looked like a winner in the warm-ups too. She's just a very she's got great energy where she's forward but not too wound up, and I think that's key. Like that kind of that mentality is huge, especially for fillies who can be a little flighty sometimes in big races with big crowds. And yeah, I mean, it looks like she got a little bit bored in the deep stretch when she was clear by herself, started wandering a little bit in and out, and maybe it was the distance. None of these fillies had ever gone a mile and a quarter before. They probably won't do it again unless they take on the boys in the Classic. But I was thrilled for John and Len and for Mark and the whole team. It was as if we had won the race ourselves. And it was just, it's people have two kind of arguments about it. It was like, the Andy Sterling argument was that you guys had nothing to lose because if it didn't work out, you could go back to the turf. On the other hand, it did step out of the box a little bit, and this was a gamble. She could have run last by 30 lengths and had put a chink in her armor in terms of the championship. But now, at least at the current moment, I think she's the leader for a 3-year-old champion, and you gotta love a horse who can do it on both surfaces. She's awesome, and I know it meant especially more to John and Len with her being a homebred. So, as I mentioned, I will exit stage left right now and let Jon Green talk about what had to be one of the best, most satisfying wins of his racing career.
Yeah, Joe, and please don't leave because I need for you to remind me about certain things as I wax poetically. So yeah,
I'll back check you along the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other reason. Thanks, pal. But yeah, I mean, having a homebred in a Grade 1 and being able to campaign her and manage her racing career the way we has been challenging. And people would say, well, hasn't it just been absolutely delightful? And it has been because really she's a nose away from being perfect this year as far as her races. But there's always decisions that have to be made, and I give Team Casse and especially Mark Casse a lot of credit for managing her and campaigning her the way that we have. And we've had multiple discussions all along the way about where we were going to run her. And look, we could have stayed in the lane and had the best 3-year-old turf filly in the country, and that would have been phenomenal. I mean, that would have been really, really cool. But the filly herself told us that she could transcend and go to a different surface. And is there a risk about, putting all your eggs in one basket and saying, hey, the Wonder again, she ran in the slop. It was a sealed, sloppy racetrack. There were only two other horses in the race, and they were both turf horses. So was that really, a legitimate win? Okay, as it were. Well, she ran like 2/5 of a second slower than the Met Mile that ran the very next race. So we thought it was pretty legit. All of her numbers look like they were legit. A 91 buyer, some really good, numbers on the rags and the Thorough Manager. And we just felt like this was the right time to try her on the dirt. Mind you, Good Cheer, who won 6 out of her last 7 races, was in there. And oh, by the way, Lacara, who also is a front run, the only speed in the race, and has run and won 2 Grade 1s already. And you knew she was going to be sharp because she was quarantined and missed her last race after the Acorn. So, I mean, it was a good group of horses. Not to mention, who knew what Queen Azteca was going to be like coming in from the Birdie of Sweden. And believe me, it was like the entire country of Sweden was in the paddock, rooting on Queen Azteca. And then, Margie's Intention, where all she's done since she moved over to the Brad Cox barn has been, transcending her races in Louisiana, and looks like that she's a legitimate graded stake horse as well. So it wasn't an easy field to go ahead and try her on the dirt, what I would say the dirt for the first time, because it was really our goal, from the last race was to try her in this race. So it's been extraordinary. It's been exciting. It's been a wonderful wild ride. It's been emotional too, Joe, because, we stood there in the winner's circle, and this was a homebred of ours. My mom was involved in the purchasing of Tiffany Casse, Nitrogen's mother. And basically, I know mom was kind of watching, what was going on. And my dad got really choked up after the horse won, because this is like kind of the last link to my mom. It is Nitrogen. But the nice thing about it is we got to celebrate it as a family. I wish you guys were there also, because it's, I consider you family, and I always love to be able to share in those moments with you and Patty and sometimes Julia, depending on her mood. But it really was a lot of fun. And Joe, I will make the announcement now. I talked to Mark Casse in great detail this morning. We outlined a number of different options for her, including the Cotillion and the Spinster and a smaller stake race at Churchill Downs. And what we've decided is that the timing of it, she needs a little bit of time because she gave it her all this race and going a mile and a quarter. The timing of her next race probably wasn't going to be 4 weeks away. We wanted to give her a little bit more time, but we are pointing for the Grade 1 Spinster at Keeneland on, I believe it's October 3rd or 4th. It's opening weekend at Keeneland. We're going to take on the older mares and see exactly where we line up with her. Mark is going to have a barn at Keeneland, so Nitrogen can be there, train on that racetrack, enjoy that elongated stretch that Keeneland has, and then hopefully fly right out of Keeneland and go right out to Del Mar, right out to San Diego, and then train out in California for a couple of weeks before the 2025 distaff.
Is there any possibility you'll bring her back as a 4-year-old, or do you want to sell her at the end of the year?
No, we are actually planning on keeping her and racing her, Joe, which, again, I know is a little unique for the industry, but we have a few things going on. I mean, thanks to Sandman's success this year, thanks to Ewing's success this year, thanks to some sales that we've had and the reduction that we anticipate that we're going to have in the Keeneland November sale. Our plans are that, Nitrogen has done everything that we could want and then some. And if she wants to continue to race and has that will to win and stay sound and everything like that, she will campaign in 2026.
That's exciting.
That's 2 exclusives that you got out of me, Joe. You are quite the intrepid reporter.
I still got those interviewing chops.
That's right.
Don't get it twisted. I can still dig with the best of them. But yeah, that was a phenomenal race and very, very exciting result, obviously, for anybody that was touched by the Green family at any point in their 30, 40 plus years racing horses, and a first for Mark Casse too, winning the Alabama, one of the few like major Grade 1 events in America that he hasn't won yet. So that had to be sad. He's always so cool. Like, I'd love to see him just lose his shit one time in the winner's circle.
Oh, Joe, he was a nervous wreck the 2 days prior and the day of the race. As a matter of fact, I didn't even go out to the barn Saturday morning because he was pacing like a nervous, expecting father. I mean, he was just beside himself. And he told me afterwards, he said, well, it's because I really thought that, I had 2 of the best horses in the race. And I thought Nitrogen was going to win the race all along. And I was like, okay, Mark, but I think he was just genuinely nervous. Sometimes it's harder to have the favorites in these races than it is to have kind of an under the radar, 10-1 shot.
Well, I just mean after the race, like he's so composed and does like a half of a fist pump. And then he's like going out to see the horse. I'm like, Mark, come on, man. Let it loose, my guy. Like, back to full once. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. No, he's a pretty calm, collected guy. But that's actually, we like the fact that he has a steady hand on the wheel, all the time. And Mark, when we were running Nitrogen in the Wonder again, I know I've told the story before, so I'll give you the truncated version. But it was like an hour and a half before we had to make the decision to run. And Mark said to us, I've trained her on the dirt. I've breezed her on the dirt in December. And she really I didn't see any drop off at all. I think she can do it. And that gave us the confidence to say, you know what, Mark, let's run her. And if she doesn't run any good, you can blame us. It's our decision. You're totally absolved of anything. But it was only because of his confidence in her, of watching her, where he was like, I think she can transcend the surfaces. Now, looking back on it, what I should have said to him is, well, for the love of God, Mark, why didn't we try on the dirt from the very beginning? But that's
that's like You don't want to be that guy. There are plenty of those guys out there in the ownership game. You don't want to be that guy where every decision you make is the wrong one. Or always like after the Monday morning quarterbacks, you should have gone here. We should have done this. Should have done that. All right. You put the fucking halter on then. Yeah. You walk into the barn at 4 a.m. and you figure out what's best for the horse every single day. It drives me nuts.
Absolutely. No. And that's why we don't listen to the Twitter nonsense, because there were an equal number of people before the race who were like, she's a nag, she'll never run on the dirt, and an equal number of people who were like, well, she ran so well in the Wonder again, why didn't they do it sooner? It's like, come on,
right?
You know what?
You can't win.
So you don't even listen. But I got to tell you, we're at the point in our program where thankfully we've seen a lot of things happen, so we have a lot of experience, and if we haven't, Mark certainly has. But I'm very thankful and appreciative that we have the communication that we do with Team Casse on some of these major decisions, because it could spin a horse in the right or wrong direction depending on which way you go. In this case, we're very fortunate, and I can't say enough about just how well Team Casse did, and also Jose for knowing the filly as well as he did. I mean, he had a little navigating to do, over the mile and a quarter in order to get her to the finish line first. And I didn't start celebrating. Personally, I didn't start celebrating until I saw the official sign, because, and this isn't a knock against Naira. This is just the way that kind of stewards are in general. In the beginning of the race, when they all came out of the gate, we banged into Queen Azteca and kind of knocked her off her stride a little bit. And down the lane, Jose was doing a little meandering, little race riding, but I don't think Good Cheer was going to catch us necessarily. But, there have been some strange DQs this year, especially in big races. So I was holding my breath until we saw the official sign.
Yep. Well, and I also wanted to mention that Jon did a little piece, or did a little interview on the Fox Sports broadcast on Friday, and did an awesome job. Like, you can tell he's done this before, and basically had everything queued up that he wanted to say. And Laffit Pincay, who's going to be our guest in a little bit, tried to tee Jon up several times to talk about this here podcast.
Yes, he did.
And it seemed like Jon was like sworn to secrecy or signed an NDA or something about Rail Talk, because if we'll play the clip right now, here's Laffit doing his level best to get us a couple more viewers. And here's Jon talking about anything but Rail Talk.
It sounds like Jon's done this before. It's because he has, and you have to check out the Rail Talk podcast. Really good stuff on Rail Talk. This weekend now, and the excitement of nitrogen, and despite she's done most of her work on grass, here she is in her second start on a main track. What are your thoughts going in about her chances in the Alabama?
We're super excited. I mean, there's a reason why the Alabama has the recognition and the pedigree of the Alabama.
Where can our viewers catch Rail Talk?
So it's Rail Talk Podcast. It's on all the streaming channels live. And we just celebrated our 100th show.
You guys take it too seriously, though. You guys take it way too seriously.
There it is. Yeah, we have a really, really good time. And then we're also selling a bunch of mares this November in a curated reduction. So we've accumulated mares over the years and years, and we put 30 of them in because the top end of the market is just starving for those kind of horses. In full to the best kind of stallions that are out there, and look for them in the Keeneland November sale.
It's a terrific show. Make sure and check it out. Jon, thanks so much for stopping by. Best of luck this weekend with nitrogen in the Alabama.
Thanks. I appreciate it very much, guys.
Thanks, Jon.
Okay. That's excellent. Shout out to our editing team for putting that together. They put up clips of the show and everything. And so Jon's like, so we're selling horses in November. It's like, Rail Talk team is selling horses. And Julia, which ones are yours and which ones are mine? And but that was excellent. And it was so funny because I texted Jon right before he was about to go on. I was like, don't forget to mention the podcast. Like jokingly, like obviously he's going to mention the podcast, and then I watch it, and he's like,
"Nope, nope. This was priority one." The
Rail what? Rail what?
Rail what?
But shout out to Laffit for plugging us, and then to the Naira team for putting the clips up, because that was fun. And now, obviously I kid, but Jon did do a great job. So we're gonna have a little more fun when Laffit comes on. We'll talk a little bit more about that in short order.